I'm Dr. Angela McBurdy of DoctorFlute.com. And today's flute tip is on gold springs. What do they do? So I don't know if you have read descriptions of flutes when you've been looking for a flute, or you just see one for your student and you read them. And it will talk about soldered tone holes or drawn tone holes, and then it will talk about this has gold springs. You know, I always thought, well, if you're going to have gold springs, usually use gold because it gives you a better tone or gives you a different tone. Isn't that why we usually add gold to the flute, like our risers, our lip plate, the head joint? Various parts of your flute can be gold and the keys can be silver. So I had this idea that if I were to have a flute with gold springs, it must do something for my tone. Well, sadly, as I've learned, gold springs do nothing for your tone. So let me just explain what gold springs are. Gold springs were used, and that I guess is a little bit of a misnomer because from my research anyway, gold is too soft to use as a spring, and so it's a gold alloy. And gold springs are used for your your keys, so they spring back up. That's how you put them down, and they spring back up. If it was just gold, I guess that would be too soft, and the key action would not be sharp enough for the way we play today. So they used, apparently gold springs were sort of the norm. And that today we now use stainless steel springs much more often because they're sturdier. And this spring action can be quicker with steel springs. So the gold springs are still used, and they still can be used, and they can still be good. So it's not to say that if you see a flute that has gold springs, which I always thought was an added value, is not necessarily added value anymore. If you know something about gold springs that's different from that, please let us know, because that was the research that I've done, that gold springs are what used to be used all the time, and now stainless steel is the better option, but that we still use gold springs from time to time, or some flutes still have them, and that only to create this kind of action so that your keys spring back up. And that's what gold springs are used for. So who knew? It's not about tone at all, but it's about finger action. That's today's flute tip.